Hi everyone, let's look at how to do collision detection in Pygame. So first of all, let's make a new file, okay, Python file, simple, well let's call it bumping. All right, of course, first thing to do is import Pygame as usual. Pygame init. Then definitely a while loop. And what we have to do in that while loop is Pygame display dot flip, and that will show the picture. However, get our screen first. Pygame display set mode, and let's set our mode for screen mode equals 600 by 600 and put it in as a parameter. Screen mode. Here you go. As we discussed earlier, we also put a little waiting time there. Pygame dot time dot clock dot wait, and we wait for 40 milliseconds. All right, let's see what happens. As usual, we get a nice black window, and we're going to make it white. So we give it a color white, which is, of course, 255, 255, 255. And the first thing we do is screen.fill, fill it up with white. And here we go. We got a white 600 by 600 window now. Next thing we're going to do is add our ghost picture. Pygame.image.load ghost.png. If you're doing this, make sure you have that picture in your directory. I've got it here. Ghost.png, and ghost rectangle equals ghost.getRectangle. After we make the background white, we're adding the ghost. So screen.blit ghost to ghost rectangle, and we should see it pop up. There it is. Second thing we want to add is the crazy pumpkin. We call it pumpkin equals pygame.image.load crazy pumpkin.png. Pumpkin rectangle is pumpkin get rectangle. And we also blit the pumpkin. Pumpkin at pumpkin rectangle. All right, that should give us two pictures on top of each other, which is not really what we want. We want the ghost to fly around or hop around at random places. And we want the pumpkin to be at the bottom of the screen. So let's move the pumpkin first. That's easy. Pumpkin rectangle.x equals 450, and pumpkin rectangle.y equals 450 as well. All right. So here's the pumpkin now. Next up, we want the ghost to move every time we push the key down button. To get events, the first thing we got to do is, as usual, Pygame event.get. That's something we have to do always in Pygame just to get the event pump going. After we got the events, as you know, we can get all the keyboard pressed keys into a list. We call it keys, Pygame, key, get pressed. And we get a list, an array with all the keys on the keyboard. If they're pressed, the element will be 1. If they're not pressed, the element will be 0. So keys, so we do if keys, which key? Well, it should be a number because this is an array, a list, but we have no idea which number is the key down button. So we do Pygame dot, and then we check k underline down, and that will automatically give us that number. If that is not 0, means that key has been pressed. If the key has been pressed, we want to move the ghost's rectangle to a random location. Now for random, we need to import random at first. So we can use it, random, rand range 0 to 500, because that's the size of our screen. And for the y, we do the same thing, random dot rand range 0 to 500. Let's see what happens if we run that. Press key down, and the ghost will move around to random locations. Next part, we want to figure out if the ghost and the pumpkin collide. And if they do, we want to leave the program. So that's our next part. For collision, we check if both of the rectangles collide. So we go if pumpkin rectangle collide rectangle with ghost rectangle. So that means, yep, they're overlapping. We're going to print a boom first to see if that worked. Run that. The boom hasn't come out yet. Press enter, enter, key down. There was a collision, boom. There was a collision, another boom. All right. Of course, the boom is not much use to us. We want to leave the program as soon as they collide. We gotta leave this while loop, which is going on forever now, while true. So we add a variable, a Boolean variable, running equals true. And instead of saying while true, we're asking while running. And as soon as there's a collision, we make running false with a capital letter. And when that happens, we can leave this while loop and get out of the program. No collision, no collision, and boom, we're leaving. Try that again. Oh, collide right away. So as you can see, collision detection is very easy with an if. We're just not lucky. We collided right away. And again. And again.